What's going on, guys? Welcome to Boosted Motorsports, and in this video we're going to be working on our Dodge Ram 1500 SST edition with the HEMI swap. So on the last video we got a bunch of stuff sorted out. We ended up figuring out what we're going to do for the interior. I still have the dash over there, so we'll deal with that afterwards. Hopefully those parts for the dash will show up in this episode and I can get that back in there. And we're also going to be trying to figure out a rear axle swap and the ride height. So some different length shackles showed up. I'm trying to decide what we want to do with the rear end. We're actually going to test out the shackles, see where we end up, and then after that I'm going to try on a set of 4th gen 20-inch wheels and the larger diameter tire, because I want to be able to put some 4th gen wheels on this eventually and play with different tire sizes, and I don't want them to be getting into the rear quarter panels, the bedside, the fenders, all that stuff. So we're gonna play with it, we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. All right, so our lift shackles, which means it is a smaller, shorter shackle, finally showed up. So hopefully this will give us a decent ride height. We'll find out in a minute, but you can see just how much shorter these guys are than the other one. So significantly shorter. So let's see if that puts us into the range that we're hopefully looking for. This thing is a heck of a lot shorter. So should move it down a couple inches or so, and if that translates to a couple inches over here, I think we'll be in the ballpark. So let's go ahead and get these guys in. I'll link these down below if you guys are interested in them. They were only like 32 bucks for a couple of them, so you could either lift your vehicle, or if you're, well, I guess technically we're still lifting it, but we're just trying to achieve a decent ride height right now. So let's go ahead and swap these guys in there. All right, so we've got our lift shackle in here, these little guys. They're fully relaxed right now since there's the weight of this on it, but let's go ahead and set her down and see what we have. Hopefully we got something decent this time. Close, boys. All right, I think we may have found the ticket. It's a little bit lower in the rear than the front. We've got a bunch of weight in the back, so I've got the 5.9 block in there and a bunch of other junk, as you can see. So it's a little bit down on the back, but we could maybe afford a little bit in the front. That might be almost the ticket. So I just don't want to go too low, because in case we put some bigger wheels, like I mentioned, it'll really start getting close there. But we've actually got suspension. It's not on the bump stops now, so I don't know if you guys can see, but if I show you down here, we are right there. So we're a little bit off the bump stop right there, but those bump stops are fairly large at the same time too. So this would probably, to the frame rail, I'm probably like 3 inches or so. And like I said, we got the block in here in this box, plus all this other junk too, so, but it's not a bad look. I think I might be down with that, honestly. Well, let me know what you guys think of the ride height. The only other thing I can think of is since I haven't fully welded up the rear axle yet, is we take out the axle flip and just run the axle back on the bottom side. As you can see, I still have to align the bed a little bit, but we're gonna have to move the axle back a little bit as well, so that way it's centered in the wheel well. But let me know what you guys think. It's an interesting one for sure. I didn't think just trying to achieve a decent ride height in the back would be this much work, but here we are. All right, so what we're gonna try next is some 4th gen wheels on this. So these are just 4th gen 20s in the factory size. Don't it's not necessarily that we're going to be putting black wheels on this. I might try them for a bit, but it's not like the end all be all. So I know there's some people are like, I hate black wheels. Well, It's not necessarily gonna go black wheels. We're still gonna keep the original SST wheels, so don't go 5 million people messaging me trying to buy the SST wheels. I'm just playing with stuff, but I will be keeping the original SST wheels. If you do really want SST wheels, I do have a second set of just the rims. So I have the set that we originally took off of this. If you want SST wheels, then hit me up for those, but the ones that are on here are staying. So I have a feeling by the time we put this 4th gen wheel on here, again, even though the arms look like they're up, the truck isn't suspended by them at all. I think this axle flip is gonna be too low. Like maybe if you're gonna run small tires, but if you ever ran like a 4th gen setup like this with the bigger tire, I have a good feeling that once we put these larger diameter wheels on here, that we're gonna be into the fenders and it's gonna be not usable. So depending on how this goes, I might be, and I haven't finalized the axle yet, so I might be putting the axle back on the bottom so that we can have a decent ride height and not be chewing into the bedsides with our wheels. So without further ado, let's pop these on. I got one here, I got another one leaning over against the Jeep over there, and then I might even throw the front set just so we have an idea there. So let's throw it on. Whoa, okay, you guys. I was not expecting it to have as much clearance as it does. Might not look like much right here, but I mean, we've got weight in the bed, all that stuff, and I still probably have 2.5, 3 inches, so could probably adjust it a bit to give it a bit more clearance. Again, the bed's not bolted down right now, so I'm a little closer here than on the back because the bed's, you know, twisted a little bit. Well, we're also going to move the axle a little bit back because it's gonna be a little bit closer to the front either way. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, boys. So I don't think I'm necessarily gonna keep the black rims, although they do look really good, but I just want to at least know that 4th gen wheels can fit on this. And yeah, super happy with that. I think in the front we're gonna have to go down a little bit, but can't really judge the front just yet because we don't have a transmission in it, so it's missing probably, I don't know, 200-300 pounds out of the front end right now, so we can't really judge exactly where we are, so we'll wait for that later. But yeah, okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the next thing. I could put the other front wheels on there, which I might do, but it's going to, like I said, it has a little bit of, it's almost level. Might actually be level. It's just maybe a hair down in the back, but just about level, so might have to adjust it a bit, but I don't know, maybe we'll try putting the front wheels on. Let's see. Okay, well, I was gonna put the front wheels on, but here's some interesting data points for us, you guys. You cannot simply bolt on one of these newer 4th gen 20-inch wheels. So the hub on this thing sits so far out that it gets into here. Like I had to pop off our cap, and there was even a dust cap on top of that I had to remove to even get it this far. But it will not fully seat. Like I can fit my whole finger back there. So I do want to upgrade the front brakes. But yeah, that seems to be the situation as of right now. You can't simply just bolt the wheel on and go. So we're gonna have to come up with something on this. I might try to look into doing some sort of spindle swap to see if I can get at least the 3rd gen front brakes on here, and then that'll give us our correct bolt patterns. But yeah, as of right now, you can't simply just bolt on a 4th gen wheel onto a 2nd gen without putting some sort of adapter or doing something with the hub, which is the route we're gonna go. Okay, so next thing I want to do is, you can clearly see, well, it's hanging right now, but you can see the wheels like way forward. As it swings up, it goes this direction. But what I want to do is, there is the locating stub on the leaf, and then on the actual perch there's 3 holes in it. So I'm gonna bump this over to the front one, so I'm gonna effectively bring the axle back an inch, and then we'll see once it collapses if it ends up in a decent spot. So that is easy enough as hopping it over. On the bottom you also have a locating tab, but I'm just gonna tighten it over top of it until I just see if I like it. So it might be kind of straddling this, so it won't be ideal, but as long as I can pinch this down on top of our leaf pack, then I should be okay. And then if I like it, then I'll end up opening up a hole over here somewhere for the nut to go through there. I was thinking maybe, I don't think it's enough, but maybe I could flip this upside down temporarily, but I don't think so. Anyways, I'm gonna bump this over, and then we'll move it back and we'll try it again. All right, so here's what I mean. So now we are right here, and you can see our center line is there. So we've effectively moved the axle back an inch, so should put it a little more center in the wheel well, but this is going to be off. So our locating hole there on the bottom. So more than likely going to have to open that up, but for now, let's just kind of tighten it down just to see if it's where we want it, and we can go from there. All right, so like I said, that is going to end up over there, but I just kind of snugged things down and didn't go crazy on it, just so that our axle is tight to the top of the spring, and we're just going to set it down, see if it is in a better spot. Let's take a look just visually. So it looks to be definitely a lot further back, but like I said, as vehicle comes under load and the spring kind of travels in that direction, it should be more centered. So let's just set it down for a second and see if it's a lot better. So, and then here's this side, same sort of deal. Yeah, it's a lot more centered, so I'm thinking once the spring kind of compresses, it should be in a decent spot. Let's see. Pretty dang good, you guys. Okay, so I moved it back an inch, and I would say it looks a heck of a lot better than it did before. Let's check on this side. Again, the bed's not fully bolted down, but just overall, yeah, I'd say it's a lot more balanced for sure. So there we go. I'm sure if you stared at it, absolutely, you'd probably I don't know if anybody even stares at this stuff or how much they stare at it, but that looks way better. A lot more room on both sides. It looks a lot more balanced and in the middle. Now it's got me looking at everything else. So this is a factory Beltec kit, and yeah, it's pretty centered, but I'd almost say it almost looks like that. Maybe a tiny bit more in front of the tire compared to the back, so I think we'll take it. And on this side, it's pretty centered, but I would say that there's maybe a little bit more room in front of the tire, just barely if you're really staring at it. So, and the Dakota has a Beltec kit on it, so yeah, I think we're doing pretty good, boys. Okay, so I put it back up in the air. What I'm gonna do is just mark on the side here where that bolt hole needs to go. So it's gonna be like here, and obviously in the center, and then I'll just put the same sort of hole right here. I'll just auger it out. It doesn't really matter because the axle is located on the pin that's here, and like I said, this, if I go over here, it'd be easier to show you guys. It already has 3 positions in it, so all I did was move it forward. So instead of the center one, I just slid it forward and it just slid into here. On the other axle, it's actually 3 circles, not this like Pentastar thing, not this little Chrysler logo. So it just slid into the other one, which was nice. But yeah, I slid into the front one, so you can see we effectively moved it backwards that much further back by putting it in this front hole there. And now I'm just gonna do the same on the bottom. So axle's located, the U-bolts will keep it in place, but you can hopefully see right there, just gotta make that hole. Okay, so there we go. I made the 2 holes there. That was super fun, you guys, because these plates are super thick. So yeah, it took plasma cutting and grinding to get those to be looking half decent. But I'll paint it all later, but for now, let me go ahead and throw it on, then we can cinch these up. And I want to start working on the dash stuff. So I've got a huge mess all here just because this is all the dash stuff laid all about. I got 2 dashes in a million pieces everywhere. So let's get these on, then we can move on to that. I want to see about experimenting with some stuff and how I want to maybe reinforce that dash before we put it back together, because the top piece is supposed to show up today. So I kind of want to get that sorted out so we can get the dash back in there and get back onto the fun stuff. Okay, so there we go. Now our plates actually fit since we clearance for the bolt right there. So now they sit up flush, we're good there. So we can set this thing back down and I can start working on all this dash nonsense. Okay, so I got my little setup here. So I'm just gonna try using some fiberglass resin. I cut up a bunch of just kind of fiberglass, just little shards of it. So just snipping it with some scissors and putting a little bit of hairs in here just to give it a little bit more structure. What I'm gonna do is just mix up a couple ounces and use it with the brush, and I'm going to try just applying it in a few spots. So this is the old dash. I wanna experiment on this one. So I just wanna put it across here, you know, a few different spots, maybe like this big crack here. Maybe that's probably a good test subject. And just see if it reacts weird with this plastic. And we can kind of go from there. I might try filling some in here, see if
Because right now, like, let's, for example, if I go like this, that breaks off. So let's fill that in, and then we'll try it again and see if it's got some strength to it versus just being able to, like, you know, literally just break any piece off. So that's the goal, that's the plan. Let's go ahead and try it out and see what happens. All right, so I've been playing with a few different things. I tried 2 different ratios of fiberglass resin. So I went a little bit heavier on the activator and a little bit lighter, so more or less activator, just to see if there's any different results. And then the other thing I tried was some Bondo glass. So this has short strands reinforcement, you can see there, and it's a little bit thicker, but that stuff's set up super fast in this heat. As far as everything, I didn't obviously prep it, which whatever, take for what it's worth, but like some of these cracks, like how are you gonna get in there type thing. But I just kind of laid it on. But I might have to just clean up some spots and try it once more. As far as it's sticking though, it's almost like it's not adhering whatsoever to the plastic. Like, look at this, it's just peeling off almost like a mold. So definitely adding some strength, but at the same time it's not really sticking that well. So see here how it's just peeling up and peeling off. So it's adding a lot of strength. Well, that was just that part cracking. I even tried grafting in this piece here, but you can see here it took on the correct shape, but like, look, this is just peeling straight up as if nothing ever happened. So I might try maybe wiping some of the plastic with acetone and seeing if that does anything. Here's the results of this one. I couldn't even, it started hardening up before I even got very far, but look, this one bonded. You know, this piece wasn't even attached a minute ago, and it's completely attached. So that one seems pretty decent, to be honest. And it's actually, it grabbed to the plastic. So this stuff seems like the better solution, honestly, because I didn't even get a chance to fully, like, it's cracked completely. This was 2 separate pieces, but that stuff, that actually grabbed very, very well. So maybe we stick with the Bondo hair stuff. And this stuff isn't even really fully cured yet, and it's already, like I said, this was, you can see the crack there. This was completely separated a minute ago. So I would say this is the winner, but to give it a fair chance, I'm gonna do one more little batch of fiberglass resin, and maybe I'll wipe down the area and just see, because I think pretty much everywhere, let's see, in here, I mean, it definitely helps. It just sucks that it's not really sticking. So, I don't know, let me mess with it and I'll show you guys what I come up with. All right, so out of everything, I still think the clear winner is this stuff here. Like, this is keeping some flexibility, but it is grabbing like crazy. Whereas this still, the resin, even on the cleaned off place, look, you can peel it right off. So, I tried a few other spots too. I redid this here. This one seems to be grabbing a lot more decently, but still, look, pretty sure it might just peel right off. Yeah, see, she just peels off, whereas the other stuff, yeah, it's trying, but this one, like, look at that. Yeah, see, it'll crack somewhere else before it lets go here. So I gotta figure out a better ratio for this stuff, but I think I might just use some of that where needed. So probably around, like, and this doesn't even look like anything, but around the top here, that's probably where I'll use some of this to remake it, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna go over there to our new dash, and the other one still hasn't showed up. It's supposed to be showing up via FedEx, but they're running late, it looks like. I'm gonna start disassembling this, so I'm gonna be super careful, go very slow, and extract this from the frame, and then that way we can get ready to put it all onto the new frame, see what I want to patch up. There's a couple of spots up here, like right here, that I might try to fix. It's not too significant, but let me start taking it apart and let's get to it. All right, boys, this is no joke, this heat. It's like 100 degrees plus humidity here, and we're still working, but
I got this thing off in one piece. That was pretty sketchy to take it off the frame, and this thing's already brittle as heck, as you guys know. So the only cracked part is this. So just this little bridge right here. So I'm probably going to clean up this, and then I'll probably try to pack in all through here with some of the Bondo hair, just to give it a little bit more reinforcement. Over here, I'm probably gonna leave this alone. Nice thing is once that new top piece shows up, it should reinforce a lot of this. It'll add a lot of rigidity to it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I might pack in some Bondo hair across the top, just depends how ambitious I get. Over here, it gets covered, so you're not gonna see any of this. So I might get a little crazy over here, because this all gets covered by the grill. But over here, if you drip any on the backside, you're done for, because you'll be able to see it over here. This is all exposed on that side. So anyways, she is off, so let's get to work. Let's mix up some Bondo hair and fill this one crack, and then we'll reinforce it just for added precaution, and then we'll get cranking. Okay, check this out, you guys. It's the next day, and this stuff held up solid. You remember this piece was completely separate? Look, I can tug on this whole entire thing and she doesn't go anywhere. So I'm gonna just continue to pack all this in all through here. It's not gonna be that exciting. I'm gonna put it all through the vulnerable areas. So bunch through here, probably in and around here. Maybe pack some in the top here. It's gonna take a while. And of course over here with the switch, because the switch is going to take quite a bit of abuse, you know, when people are pulling on the switch. This is like a very analog switch, so you have to tug on it quite a bit to activate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pack it all through here, and I'll show you guys the result. All right, guys, well, huge success on all this stuff. So I ended up reinforcing this one spot right here. This is still drying, and I'll show you guys the product that I found worked the best after testing a bunch of different ones. So there we go. That's all reinforced right there. So that one crack that we had in our wood grain finish here. So that's all reinforced. It surprisingly only had that one crack in it. And then over here, I'll flip this back over, but I went bananas on this. I literally, you can't see from the front, which was the goal. So you can see a little bit of overspill that I could maybe trim out if I needed, but let me flip it over real quick and I'll show you guys the back side, because I put a lot of material in there. All right, so here we go, you guys. This is the product I ended up using, this fiberglass resin jelly. I'll link it down below for you guys. There was, I kind of ran through one can and I had to get into a bit of the next, and there was a different color hardener on the one. So for the most part, it was green because it had a blue hardener with it. And then the other batch, for some reason, had a red, like a burgundy color hardener, and it came out this like gray color. So same product, but just different color hardener. But anyways, like I said, it's not the prettiest, but definitely super strong. So super happy with it. And now we can move on to the next step. Okay, you guys, so I am going to finish this video off in my kitchen, because what I was waiting for a week for this to arrive, and this is the new top piece. So it is a black finish, which I'm probably going to leave it black, honestly, because I don't think it looks all that bad black with the brown. But this is an actual, there's people and companies that sell just the cover, which goes over top, but this one actually bolts up and screws in like the factory one. So I was pretty happy with this, and it showed up, and this was the box, but it was punctured and hanging out of the box, which I thought maybe it was gonna be busted. I can't remember where the other hole is, but anyways, it was broken, and well, the box was busted, and I was like, okay, cool. I took it out and it was in one piece, which I was happy about that. So it's pretty cool. It's got all the vents and everything. This will fit like factory. But I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is scratched like crazy right through here. So normally maybe I wouldn't care so much, but the fact that this piece of plastic cost me $300, it better damn well be perfect. So unfortunately, I'm going to send it back, and I'm waiting for another one to arrive. So hopefully next one doesn't show up with all these deep scratches in it, as you can see here. Let me know down below if you guys would care, but I'll link it down in the description below if you guys are interested in that thing. If you guys are trying to do the same thing, I'll link. I ended up switching, if you guys noticed, from Bondo hair to Bondo jelly, and it worked way better, that jelly stuff. It was a little more pliable. Yes, it doesn't look the greatest, but it is super strong, you guys. So now I don't have to worry so much about the thing coming apart once I put this new top piece on. This top piece is actually a structural piece. So when it screws into the front of the dash here, and the dash screws in here, this screws to the frame, and there's also another screw right there, and everything holds together. So That's why, in my opinion, why a lot of people end up breaking the main structure is because they let this go to bits, or they just put a cover over top of it. And if you were to just put a cover over top and you didn't actually get this structural piece, then your whole dash is just free floating. When you like go to turn on your headlights and you pull out on the headlight knob, you're essentially pulling on that very fragile plastic underneath. Whereas if you get one of these and you get this whole top piece, it's adding strength to your whole dash. So if you guys are in this situation, definitely go with a piece like this. If you're considering replacing it, do not get a dash cover, because you're just asking for the rest of your dash to be obliterated. So even if the rest of your dash is kind of, you know, questionable, at least this gives you some support and it'll give you structure back to your dash. But anyways, that's it for this video. I have a huge surprise. I might be picking up a new vehicle for you guys and for the channel. So if all goes as planned, right now it's a Friday, I am loading up to go and get a vehicle this weekend. You guys are gonna be super happy if it all goes through. I'll obviously keep you posted. If you guys want up-to-date and live updates, make sure you're following me on Instagram, Facebook. That's where I post all the short clips. So go head over there for those short clips and you guys can document on the road trip. I'm going on a huge road trip right now to maybe get this vehicle. So I'm super excited. Hopefully you guys can tell. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up. See you on the next one.